Great. So had the dad's coming over to help with stuff for the shower, which helps keep me motivated and keep me awake in the morning when I'm tired as snot. So we also drained the oil out of this guy this morning, so it'll be ready to go. I cleared off the bench, so I've got space to work. We'll redo our little paper here once parts are clean for reassembly. But in the meantime, it makes it a little easier to keep the top of this clean. Um, and it's certainly easier to wipe stuff off just with a brush. But when you start tearing this thing down, we cleaned off the outside a little bit, drained the oil out of it. A little bit of heat, and out they go. Oh, it sounds awful, but it's the sound of victory. So, fun tricks, right? We don't want to use impacts this late at night because we will disturb our family who we care about. So, this guy, boom, down to the table. Granted, it's already loose, but this is what I did to get it loose. Is that's going to hold it there. It picked up this side a little bit, and I had to put my right hand on to push it down. But you can just get in here and just, and that's a ton of leverage, man. Like it just, and it popped that thing apart. Ain't no problem. Now, one thing that did go into my head is I didn't read enough detail. I don't know the actual rotation of this motor. There's a chance that would have been left-handed threads, which if they did things right, this might be left-hand threads. Maybe we'll look that up. Maybe we won't. No, we'll look it up. We have the service manual, so we'll see. We should have looked it up for this side before I did it, because with that amount of leverage, like if I had gone along here and my screwdriver didn't loosen that up, I probably would have just went and gotten my pry bar and put even more nasties on it. And if this was left-hand threads, right-hand threads? Yeah, right-hand threads. Could have done some damage, right? Especially, we already know from the motor hold downs that these guys are big fans of the fine-threaded stuff. But whatever, we'll get this apart, get some things off of this side, flip her around and do the same thing. My 3-jaw puller, the jaws don't have, like, they're thick, right, on the ends, and they can't fit under here. So I put one from my 2-jaw that's close, but you can see it's quite angled towards these because of it. So we're not going to go too nuts. And I think before we this is just hand tight, before I actually grab the breaker bar and start wrenching on this, we'll go ahead and get some heat into it, because heat fixes everything. So she popped right off, and we have like pieces of metal, right? And I'm looking around, and they're sticking to this because they're magnets, right? So the thing flew off, and in its flying off, it chipped this one magnet. I'm not so much worried about the balance as I am worried about the electricity generated. I don't know how much flywheels cost. Now, magnets like these, permanent magnets, do deteriorate over time. So I don't even want to say out loud that I'm going to look at magnet or flywheel prices, but if it's less than $50 and it has fresh magnets that aren't 20 years old, it may be worth doing, because then we'll have a good stator on her. I don't know what holds this on, because everything's packed full of bullshit. So let's keep peeling her away like a onion of glory. Just packed full of grass, dirt, and oily whatever. So it's got a little path for the electricals to go. So some of the stuff's well thought out, but it'll be nice to get new gaskets in here and have this all cleaned up. But it looks like this whole side is just cast everything in one piece. So next step will be flipping it around and pulling things from the other side. I do wonder, it looks like, I got one bolt left up there, and this plate will come off the top, but we're going to leave that in place until we get we'll leave it in place for now, because it just doesn't need to come out. but I'll have a new gasket for the entire engine. When this thing goes back together, it's really going to be great. So unlike I predicted, this was also normal threads, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Bolt popped right off, and it's 3 pieces for the belts, which I mean, that's an interesting way to do it. I don't know if maybe it's because there's some stuff that uses 2 belts. So like if I was mine uses 2 belts. If I was a 1 belt, but I just have these 2 pieces, right? And there's my belt. And then for this mower, they're like, oh, we'll just add 1. So all they had to do was manufacture the centerpiece. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know if that's the actual case, but it doesn't matter. All we need to do is remember which one goes to the back. Big old, this is why we video, right? Nobody has to actually watch this or learn anything from it except for me. And so this one with the big old flange in the back is the first one that goes on. And then our double. And then the one with, what? Okay. That's why they do it. These look identical. I still want to keep them in order because I'm weird. So this one, let's take the marker and the one that came off last. It's going to be the first one to go on. So you're going to get a 1. And we know the year, who cares, 2. And then this guy, big old 3. Now we're going to clean these up. We'll see how much we clean them up, but when we do, we can at least keep them in order. After all the things that brought me pain and agony, there are some things that bring you joy, right? Like for this plate, all of the bolts, every single one of them, same size, same thread pitch, same head, like everything's the same. So even though like here's this oily one from the right and clean ones from the left, it doesn't matter. They all, I don't have to keep them in order to put them back in, and that's more of this. More things need more of this. Well, here you have cam, crank, thingy, flange thingy. Here's the oil pump, right? With its pickup, and that all seems fine. Like all the gears look good. Everything in here looks clean. I don't know what the hell that is. Wait. Dipstick tube. And there's just a thing. Oh, I wonder if that's the decomp. No, that's the governor. So this guy, right? See how those these came out, right? So depending on the speed of this, these will be at whatever, right? They're gonna spread out with one of them's not real. Centripetal, centrifugal. A centrifuge spins vials and makes your aids go to the outside. Centripetal, whatever. The bottom line is those go out and they hit this and they go bang, 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 bang really fast, which makes this go bang, 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 bang. And it's going so fast, they'll just sit here and wiggle like this and regulate the throttle. So really, the faster that spins, the more force. So this way must be less throttle, and this way is more throttle. So when it spins, if the engine gets too fast, it goes like this and it cuts. If it goes too slow, it goes like this and it opens the throttle up. Yes. So if we want it to go more like this and open the throttle more, I think this top setting will give us a little extra rip'ems. So we'll reevaluate that as we get to it. Oh, here's the first piston out with its rod. Yeah, neat, right? Awesome. So we can pop these rings out and measure the gap and see if they're actually bad. And we also need to figure out there is oh wow, Molly? See that? These are Molly pistons. They're like right down the road from us. Maybe I'll stop in there and tell them they're pieces of shit. No, just kidding. They're good guys. But that's yeah, cool. That's a nice piston then. That's not some knockoff junk. Granted, it's an old mower, that's why. But Yeah, we'll get the other one out and reassess. Okay, so ring is back in the cylinder. Other ring is removed from the piston. Easy way to make sure you're perpendicular is go ahead and push this thing in. Use it to push the ring down until your skirts are getting close, and you pull it back out. And now you know your ring is dead nuts. So that gap, right, is what we want to look at. But the for this engine, the CH23, mine's an S. I don't know what that means, but CH23 Kohler. Um, for that top compression ring that we already measured at 0.018, their new cylinder, right, new bore, fresh, ready to go, with new rings, I would guess. They say 0.0039 to 0.011. We were 0.018, so we're out of spec if it was new, but we're barely in spec for used, right? So, yeah, we're still going to do them. I mean, it's too late, it's already apart. But it looks like we were nearing the end of its life, and maybe that's why things still look pretty good. Maybe, maybe the thought here is that we were fortunate enough to clog this thing up with grass and make it start smoking at me, because most likely it was that grass smoking and wanting to catch on fire, or bits of this leaky oil, and the engine was just stressed enough to the point that it gets really hot. It was clogged up, so it gets hot. It just reaches out and begs for help, and then we sweep in at the last minute 0.0012 before we would hit our wear limit on the rings. So that might just be it. That's how I'm gonna interpret it. Is that it got hot and nasty. We noticed, and we're in this engine rebuilding it while it's in great shape and rebuildable, instead of when something awful happened. So I can live with that. We'll go get some parts ordered, and we'll check in when they show up next. Well, we'll check in after I clean some things, because everybody likes to see clean stuff.